God bless football, Billy Gill.
God bless football, Mikey A.
God bless football, Stugotz.
Thank you, Mikey A. We have a big weekend, the biggest weekend coming up right now. Since last weekend, the biggest weekend of the NFL season, the divisional round of the playoffs. Adam Schefter, Austin Ekeler going to join us on TV. On the audio version of the podcast, you can listen to Chris Sims. You can listen to the picks. We have all that over there. It is a big weekend, and I have a question for you guys. I was thinking about this. I have too much time on my hands, and so I wanted to start with a question for both Billy and Mikey A.
Okay.
Guys, in a weird world where the better team in the NFL playoffs could trade their quarterback for the opposing team's quarterback for just a game, do you think Dan Campbell would trade Jared Goff for Jaden Daniels?
I have a follow-up question before we get to it.
Yeah.
Can you only do it once per playoff year? So like
that's okay.
So it's not like
big question.
So it's not every round, Dan Campbell has the opportunity to change quarterbacks. It's just he can do it once. Also, does every favorite have this or just the one seed?
Ooh, wow. So I had it as every favorite, okay? The higher of the higher seed of the two teams. So every favorite. Gotcha. So Buffalo would have the ability to trade Josh Allen for Lamar Jackson before this game. But I like Billy's idea of you have this and you could use it once per postseason.
Well, here's where the gamesmanship comes in this game, right? Because a lot of the teams probably would have to do it in the first round, because if they were the lower seed in the next round, then they wouldn't have the opportunity to do it again.
Right.
Well, like if there were upsets, then the further you go, you lose that ability to do so unless every team has it. And if you beat a team that hasn't used that, you take that ability from them.
Ooh, I like that.
By the way, I just want to point out real quick, today's episode of God Bless Football is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Yeah, I'm just imagining the NFC Championship game, and let's say it's Rams and Lions, and Dan Campbell still has that trump card. Does he trade for Matt Stafford?
Didn't work out last time the Rams played, or Stafford
now
played.
McVay has Goff back.
Now, here's the thing, though. If you can only do it once, then you could have a situation where if Dan Campbell holds on to it, he could theoretically get Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah. So does he hold on, or does he think, you know what? Jared got us here this far. He can beat any of those quarterbacks.
Right. And he beat Matthew Stafford, right?
Or technically CJ Stroud, I guess, is still in the mix in this hypothetical.
Well, that would
is
be
CJ Stroud the worst quarterback left?
Well, I don't know. Would the Chiefs trade for CJ Stroud before this game? No, they would not.
Come on. What are you doing?
They would not. You know what? I don't Billy makes a good point where I don't think if this ridiculous rule was ever implemented, I don't think you could do it during wild card weekend. It's unfair. You're taking away. No, you can't. It has to start in the second round. It has to start right now.
I mean, the team that could have done it wild card weekend would have been the Texans taking Herbert.
Yes. Right.
But then Herbert kind of pooped the bed, so you wouldn't have wanted to do that.
Yeah. Right. And then the Steelers would have been able to trade Russell Wilson for Lamar Jackson. That's not fair. You can't do it. It has to start in the second round of the playoffs.
Could you imagine if they did the trade and Justin Herbert threw 4 picks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
They would be screaming.
Right.
Would have been great.
Yes.
Oh, wait. Hold on a second. Wait. Hold on.
I have a big correction. Hold on. We're getting excited. I'm sorry. I brought this up now. We have a big correction. No, the Steelers would not be able to trade for Lamar Jackson. I just stated on the front end that only the higher seed can activate the trade.
No, only the higher seed. But you do have a situation where the Bucs have to decide: do we want Baker? Or do we want Jaden Daniels?
Right.
But now here is a twist in this game, which is kind of crazy. This is how we're starting this off, because we have a national championship on Monday.
Yeah, so we actually have national championship and the biggest college football NFL playoff weekend. But let's do this.
We should probably talk about that. However, I have some breaking news. We're going to have a show on Monday, even though the company is off. So you're going to get your fill of national championship talk on Monday. We'll broach the subject today, perhaps. But let's not put the cart in front of the horse. Also, I just want to point out, we're presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. Here's another hypothetical to this scenario, Stugotz.
I love it.
If the Texans decided they wanted Justin Herbert on their team, next round, should they win, Justin Herbert is no longer on their team. C.J. Stroud is still their quarterback. Could you go and tell C.J. Stroud, hey, C.J., throw us the ball every damn time you have it. Constant pick sixes and sabotage the other team so that you win. Just asking. Just asking the
What's
question.
to stop Herbert from doing it too, though?
Right.
I mean, it kind of felt like that's what they were doing anyways, was having a contest.
This whole thing falls apart if we keep digging. This whole thing falls apart if we keep digging.
I really just wanted to know if Dan Campbell, if he had the opportunity in a crazy world to trade Jared Goff for Jaden Daniels, would he do it? That's really why I came up with it. I think he would. Yeah, I did.
Okay. Then he'd use it this round, I guess.
Right. So you have to make some incentives to prevent the tanking from happening. I understand what you're saying. Jaden Daniels goes to the Lions. He loses the game on purpose. The team, the players that he cares about, they make it to the NFC Championship game. Jaden Daniels goes back to the Commanders the next week because them's the rules, you know? So you would have to make it some sort of incentive for Jaden Daniels to actually go out and win that game for the Commanders. He gets a ring.
In that scenario, the only way Jaden Daniels playoff continues is if he tanks, because then his team moves on and he moves on with them, where if the Lions move on, he doesn't. His season's over regardless. So it almost incentivizes the tanking of the lower seeded quarterback, because they will lose on purpose so their team and their playoff hopes continue. I think we need to think this through a little more. We'll work on this.
We do, but imagine
I have a wrinkle I want to throw in.
Imagine being Nick Sirianni and you trade for Matthew Stafford, you get rid of Jalen Hurts, and you lose that game. I mean,
let me ask you something. We're going to talk to Austin Ekeler for the first time in a year.
Yes.
Dare we waste his time with this hypothetical?
I want to waste someone else's time with it.
Who?
Chris Sims.
Oh, man. He's going to be so mad.
I'll tell him it was Billy's idea.
I love when I get a text from him saying, guys, I got to be out by a certain time today, because I know those are the days for these types of questions, because I know he's not in the mood for them.
Did he give you that yet? Did we get one yet?
Yeah. Oh, we did. We also got something that I've never seen on text before, which just says F you Billy, not F you, but it says F you Billy. And somehow the font just gets bigger and bigger as I read it. Like it blows up in my face.
He's got that new iPhone.
Yeah. And it just says F you Billy, like exploding in my face.
He loves you so much.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but hey, did you mention our fantasy league? You can compete against us in weekly fantasy contests presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka.
I didn't mention it
responsibly. You did not?
No, but go ahead. Keep going. Yeah, I'm stuck on this Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff thing and what I would do. That's all.
I thought I heard you mention it. You could go to dkng.co/Smirnoff to compete against us. I finished right outside the money last week. I finished in 40th place. So close. This is my week, friends. The problem is, Stugotz, Mikey, and I'm sure you're running into this, and our listeners are running into this too. The competition gets a lot tougher because there's so many fewer teams that so many of the teams that are in it have the exact same player combinations, just with one small tweak or adjustment. And that's the difference between the winners and losers presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. That's a Monday segment. We're not doing winners and losers today. On Monday, we'll do winners and losers, and you will find out that I was one of the losers in fantasy again. So compete against us, win some money, take it from me, because I'm not going to win. I never do.
You really got to find a guy on a team at this point in the season for your daily fan. You got to find someone, right, that no one is expecting to do anything, and they have a massive game.
Can I tell you who it never is? Mac Hollins, because that's always my go-to, and it's never Mac until I don't pick him, and then it's always.
And then Mac. It will be. Could you just let me know when you're not going to pick him so that I can?
I've done it like 3 weeks in a row, and I'm like, Mac, please just 8 points. I'll take 8 points from you. Like, that's all. Like, this 1.3 crap is not doing it for me. Just like, can we get 7? Can we get 8? Because like when I finish 40th, it's literally like 2.7 points is the difference. If you get me 8 points, I may win the whole damn thing. Like, let's just do something here. But you'll see. I'm not going to take him this week. It'll be Mac.
So again,
it works.
All right. So again, if you want to hear Chris Sims, that is on the audio version of God Bless Football. But coming up next, there is plenty of coaching news going on in the NFL. Deion Sanders to the Cowboys. Anybody? We'll ask Adam Schefter next.
You also promised him you were going to get him a phone deal at the beginning of the season, if I remember correctly, and you haven't.
That's a good memory.
Yeah,
that's a good memory, and I don't recall any phone calls coming in about anything like that.
Yeah, you're right. I need to get on that. I'm on it. I'll have it done by next season. I promise you. Okay.
Okay, great.
You got a copy of the book, Schefter? Because I don't. How about you, Billy? You got a copy of the book? Because
I have it. I'm sure Schefter got one though.
Yeah.
I think I put out something on like IG stories and tweet. I think I don't know, whatever.
You did say he's so busy. He doesn't have time to talk books right now. Okay. He is too busy right now. Mikey A, I want to start with your question before I get to Deion Sanders and the Dallas Cowboys, because I think your question is an exceptional question. And I'm not certain anyone's ever asked Adam Schefter this question before. So go ahead.
Adam, do you ever get emotionally invested in some of these things? Like, are you ever getting texts and you read it and you go, now, why are they doing that? Like, come on, don't do that. Like, this is a terrible idea. I have to report it, but it's just terrible.
Well, I'll say this. A lot of times, when it comes to mom, when you say that emotionally invested, right? Like people always say, who's your favorite team? And let me start by saying, my favorite team is whoever's on my fantasy team. First and foremost, okay?
Yes.
Like that
Priorities. Right.
But once we get past that, honestly, you're rooting for people and people that you admire, respect. You're rooting for people. When you say emotionally invested, I always think of the draft. Like, I always know, like, there's a GM or a coach, they're all in on a certain guy. Like, I could tell, like, they call me, they're like, well, you heard about this guy? No, wait and see. And all of a sudden, like, boy, I hope this guy goes to this team. Like, you're waiting to see. And I've had it happen. I've seen that guy go right before that coach was going to pick him. And I know how disappointed the coach is. There's some great stories with that too, actually. I mean, I remember one year I'm talking to the Rams and they're telling me how much they love this tight end out of, I believe, South Alabama named Gerald Everett. And I'm talking to the 49ers and they tell me how much they like this tight end out of South Alabama named Gerald Everett. And I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, this is going to be interesting now to see which of these NFC West rivals gets Gerald Everett. And I'm not sure if the Rams traded up that year or just drafted him ahead of the 49ers, but right before the 49ers picked, the Rams turned in the card, and it's Gerald Everett. And the 49ers are obviously very disappointed that they didn't get the tight end that they wanted. So lo and behold, in the 5th round, they settled for another tight end from Iowa, George Kittle.
That's so good. That is so good. But have you ever gotten like,
hey, I got 50 of those.
Okay, so off season, I want to do an entire episode on this. Okay, because I'm wondering if Adam ever gets a text like from a trusted source. Jets are talking to Arthur Smith, and he's like, "Why? What
are we doing here? Like,
no, come on, guys. That's for Jet fans to react to, not me. Okay?
Okay, you just care about your fantasy team. Go ahead, Billy.
Well, speaking of your fantasy team, Adam, has there ever been an instance where maybe you make a quick move on your fantasy team before you report a story that you know is breaking? Let's just say, you know what, this person's not on the waiver. Let me put in a quick claim here, and then I'll tweet out the news.
I like that.
Well, I've learned over time not to make that mistake where there was a year where all of a sudden I'm sitting at the dinner table at 6:05. I get a call that the Cleveland Browns are trading Trent Richardson to the Indianapolis Colts for a first-round draft pick. And I file the story to ESPN, and I tweet it out. And then I go, my next move, of course, isn't to go to SportsCenter, but to go pick up Willis McGahee on the wire before anybody can get him. And by that time, one Matthew Berry already had snaked him from me. Mm-hmm. And so I said, that's it. I'm not doing that anymore. From now on, we are picking up the player before we follow the news.
Attaboy.
And we're not going to leave this to chance any longer. Like we're going to use that information and we're going to try to
insider tradings, some would say, Adam.
By the way, though, it was great because people would always pay attention in our league to, what Mort was doing. So Mort would always, like, all of a sudden he'd pick up Tim Tebow or Andrew Luck, or Brett Favre. When he's like, Mort would love doing that. He would love doing that. You're like, wait. Mort just picked up Andrew Luck. What's going on here? He would do that to mess with people.
He had a sneaky, great sense of humor, Mort. He really did. He would just to make you think he's coming back.
Drop sneaky. Great sense of humor.
Just a great sense of humor. Yeah, wonderful man. I miss him. What's going on in Dallas with Deion Sanders and Jerry Jones? You see, Adam, just watching Let's Go and seeing some of your reporting on this, this seems like it has a better chance of happening than not happening. Is that fair?
I can't tell because it depends who you speak to, right? Like there are people I've spoken to who say this isn't going to happen, and then other people I speak to that say, yeah, it is going to happen. Like, and I really don't know what to make of it right now. All I can say is that the two guys have spoken. There's great respect, love, and admiration there. And we'll see where the Cowboys search takes them. Like, I do think Kellen Moore is going to be in the mix in Dallas. There are people who think that that's the logical choice. I don't know if that is. Here's the thing. Teams change their mind. People change their mind on a regular basis. So what Jerry Jones and the Cowboys feel today might be different on Sunday or Tuesday or Wednesday. So these are moving targets that are fluid. I just think the safest thing right now, I know you want more, people want more. I just think Deion going to Dallas is possible. I don't know how possible. Maybe it's very possible. Maybe it's not that possible, but it's possible.
So when they blocked Mike McCarthy from interviewing with the Bears, you don't think there was any malice there? They were actually interested in negotiating with him at the time.
Well, I don't think there was malice, but I don't think they were interested in negotiating either. I think they were still trying to figure out what they wanted to do, oddly enough, because they never entered into negotiations with him. So you can't say that they wanted to negotiate with him when they never negotiated with him. I just think that they were not done with him yet. And honestly, I mean, I don't like it, but what was the rush? It wasn't like Chicago's job was filling up. It's not like they can do in-person interviews until after the divisional playoff round. It's not like that wasn't going to be there this week as opposed to last week. And I think Dallas probably recognized that. So, yes, it comes across initially as petty and why would they do that? But in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't amount to very much in the end.
Adam, with Deion, just going back to the Cowboys, this is a job that he would potentially take because a lot of people just assume he wants to go to the NFL and coach his son.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I think that the love and respect that he has for Jerry Jones is such that if Dallas went in that direction and if Deion decided to do it, a lot of ifs, yes, I think he would. Yes.
Wow. Amazing. What are you hearing out of the Jets and what's going on there?
Well, I can't confirm the rumor that they're now thinking of putting in to interview Robert Saleh. They've interviewed so many people that I think that they may submit a request. I mean, they've interviewed everybody else here, right? Like everybody.
It's crazy. We're going to make the wrong decision, Adam. I'm not happy.
Doesn't matter who it is. It's wrong.
It's going to be. I feel like it's going to be Aaron Glenn. Is that fair? Like, is that?
I think Aaron Glenn is getting a job. I think Aaron Glenn's going to get a job in either New York or New Orleans. There are other places that are interested, but those are the two most logical ones. He's going to come out of this cycle with a head coaching job. And so the Jets are right there, and that would stand to be a logical conclusion to draw, but there's a lot that still has to play out.
Adam, who's the most surprising name you've seen in this coaching cycle where you were shocked to see that they were getting some interest as a head coach?
Well, I know people want to keep bringing up Bill Belichick, and there continue to be storylines that follow him. and maybe I'm naive, but I really believe Bill's in North Carolina this year. Like he's there. Like everybody wants to keep making this jump that he's going to New York or to the NFL. There's something going on there. I just don't believe it. Until proven otherwise, I don't believe it. That doesn't mean he couldn't come back to the NFL at one point, but I believe he went to North Carolina with the intent to be at North Carolina this season, see how it goes. He went with the intent to be there a long time. But again, I think we all know that these things operate on a year-to-year basis, and let's see how it goes. But I'd be surprised if he didn't coach there this season, despite all this noise that keeps following him about returning to the NFL this season.
We'll get you out of here.
By the way, like, tell me the spot where he's going to coach this year. Give me the spot. Like,
Dallas?
There's not a spot. No, I don't see it.
No,
I don't see it. Give me the spot. Giants. I believe they have a head coach. Did they do something?
No, I'm saying he's waiting for next year for the Giants.
I don't think he's waiting for anything. I think he's living his life.
He might be happy in Carolina, is what Adam is saying. Yeah, yeah. It's not a bad landing spot. North Carolina, Chapel Hill, build that program. It's really not a bad landing spot at all. We'll get you out of here in just a second. If a college coach was to make the jump from college to the NFL this year, who is the most likely candidate to do so? Is it Marcus Freeman? Is it Sarkisian? Who's the guy?
I don't see a college coach making the jump.
Okay.
Look, here's the deal. Basically, in-person interviews of coaches on teams can't take place until after the divisional playoff round.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. So these teams with 6 openings right now, there are 6 openings. They still haven't met face-to-face with the Joe Brady's, Kellen Moore's, Aaron Glenn's, Ben Johnson's. I'm just thinking of all the guys. I don't want to forget Cliff Kingsbury. I'm just going through this weekend, all the guys that are going to be coaching. There's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that haven't met with teams.
Mm-hmm. That's got to play out. Right.
And so there are 6 openings. Okay. Well, I believe 2 of them are going to go to Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. We're down to 4 openings.
Mm-hmm.
We got Brian Flores, we got Liam Cohn, we got Kellen Moore, we got Joe Brady, we got a lot of qualified NFL people. I don't see a college guy trumping one of them. I just don't see it right now. Now, again, I want to be very clear. These things change. And for all I know, somebody's calling Sark or Marcus Freeman or Lincoln Riley, whoever the hell it is. And whoever. I just don't.
But his point is, there's a lot to play out. These playoff games need to play out. You don't know. Maybe Nick Sirianni gets fired if he loses this weekend. Who knows? Crazy.
Todd Monken. Has somebody explained to me? Like Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, they're kind of holding up the moves, and nothing can really happen until these people start taking jobs. Because I think there are a few places that would like Ben Johnson, and there are places that would like Aaron Glenn. Mm-hmm. And they're probably not going to move on until we get answers, and we can't get answers for them for a little while here.
Right. What are you looking at over there, by the way?
What's breaking? Something's happening. Who's getting hired? Who's getting fired? What's going on?
Stugotz just got fired. He doesn't know yet, but he's going to find out. Very.
Pick up Billy Gill on your waiver wire.
Very unexpected, but Stugotz just got laid off. It's unbelievable. Right. I got to respond to his text about it afterwards, but he just got laid off.
You're the first person I'll call for a job, and Mikey is right. Pick up Billy on the waiver wire right now. Stop reporting it. Pick up Billy right now, Adam.
Yeah. By the way, I do that. Yeah, I get that wire. I'm not going to make that mistake. I'm trying to think of somebody like that I picked up in a move. It happened this year with somebody. Forget who it was. I picked up.
I would only listen. I know you love your job. I would only use that information for my fantasy team. All your information. So,
well, fantasy is very important. Very important. Mm-hmm. In the grand pantheon of things, it means way more than it should. And as I always say to everybody, and it's so true, like fantasy means nothing and it means everything.
Right.
Sure. Speaking of your fantasy team, you say every year you got a player going into the draft who you keep close to the chest. You don't tell anybody, this is the guy I want. Season's over. Who was it this year?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, I really thought this past year, I could tell you this. the guys that I drafted on my ESPN team that I was eliminated in, was I eliminated in round 2 or 1? 2 or 1, I forget. I was 11-3 during the regular season, 16-team league. And on my team, I had Jaden Daniels, I had Brock Bowers, I had Terry McLaurin, I had Malik Neighbors.
Wow.
I had a lot of rookies that really turned out. The guy that I thought was going to pop this year, like a few years ago, my guy was Kyron Williams, and he broke his foot on the opening kickoff. And I told so many people, take Kyron Williams, take Kyron Williams, take Kyron Williams. And he did nothing all year long. And then the next year, Kyron Williams was Kyron Williams, and I was a year ahead of the curve. I thought this year going in, I liked a lot of those rookies. I took a lot of those rookies, but I also I didn't take them initially in my 16-team draft, but I thought Audric Estime in Denver was going to have a little bit more of an impact his rookie year than he wound up having. And sometimes I'm a year early, so fancy football fans just follow that.
Next year, he's the guy to take.
Yeah.
Late round, Audric Estime, late round.
Yes.
Has a chance. We'll see. I mean, it didn't happen this year. And in fact, he was even inactive last weekend against Buffalo. So,
right. The problem was he was out the first 4 weeks of the season. He did pop a little bit towards the middle of the season, but you're right. Right.
A little bit. It was not. It was a little bit less than I expected it to be.
Yes. Adam, we appreciate the time as always. We will do the hour-long edition that I want to do with you about text coming in, breaking news, and the commentary on it. Unless you guys think that I didn't notice it, I did. I called "Get Up, Let's Go." I believe.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
Jim
you did.
Gray's show.
Yeah,
Yes,
you did.
I don't know what's going on. Too much content out there. Schefter, thank you, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you in the off season where we can spend some time with you and not talk about any of this shit. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
So you objected to me calling your car a clunker.
Look,
but I mean,
it's not a clunker. It might not be, the most flashy car, but it's modest. It gets me to A to B. I got some tint on it, some black rims, some 22s. So I mean, there's a little style in it, but also keeps it within the budget. Actually, funny story, not really that funny, but I didn't have a car my rookie year, so I Ubered to the facility for like the first month and a half until I actually got some game checks. Then my first purchase was go get a car. So then finally got my car, and that's the car I had my rookie year. Still got it 8 years later.
awesome.
Austin, he called your car a clunker. Meanwhile, his has been in the shop for like months, and I'm sure it's a much more expensive car than your clunker.
Oh, hey, yeah. At least mine works. So hey, it's still out there.
There you go.
Snow or shine, it's getting there.
Billy was pointing out right before you came on how much life has changed for Austin Ekeler since the last time we spoke.
It's crazy. The world has changed. Austin is married since we spoke to him last.
Yes.
Austin, and we haven't spoken about this on air, off or whatever, but there's a documentary that was kind of crazy about your wife and her sister that was out there. We've spoken to you for years, had no idea any of that was going on. You have switched teams now. You're in the playoffs. Everything's different from you. You have,
East
by the
Coast.
At your East Coast living, you have your clunker car, your modest apartment, as Stugotz called it earlier.
Still has that guitar though. I see it right there.
How are you feeling, by the way? Because you also dealt with concussion issues and injuries this year. How are you? A lot has happened since we spoke.
Look,
You'll listen on everything since the last time we spoke, Austin. Go ahead.
Life is lifing. That is 100%, a thing. It is moving forward. There's ups, there's downs. As you said, we dealt with injury this year. We've had an amazing year as a team, though. Got married, which has been amazing. Definitely the best decision of my life so far, or the most impactful, I should say. So it's been a lot of good, mostly good. I think it's more perspective of just trying to find the good in all the stuff. I mentioned with my wife and her sister and all of that stuff with the documentary. If you haven't seen it, it's called Dancing with the Devil on Netflix. It was #1 for 2 years. She got into just a bad situation, still in that. So that's still going on. But yeah, right now we're in the playoffs. The car still works, and I'm healthy, back on the field, and looking forward to playing the Lions here in a couple of days.
Wait until you get a new car. Yeah, that's the best decision in your life. I mean,
that'll be the next best.
Most impactful.
How is married life, man? How has it changed you?
Man,
in what ways has it changed you?
In what ways has it changed? I think it has 100% made me a better person because Mel is very family oriented, where I have not even close to her. So she's actually helped me get closer with my family just because it's part of her routine. Now it's, spilled into my routine. I now learned to put the toilet seat down, things like that. The basics, the basics. Got to clean up my side of the sink, even though she got all this product and all this stuff on her side. She doesn't like my beard trimmings on there. Normal married stuff.
So you were a free agent and you ended up going to the Washington Commanders, and then you won the lottery because you guys got Jaden Daniels, and you had no idea you were going to have him as soon as you signed with Washington, and look at you now, second round of the playoffs.
Hey, it's been one of those things where you go into a new environment. There was actually 60 new free agents on the team on the 90-man roster, and so new ownership, new coaches, new GM, 60 new players. Like, it felt like it was like a whole new environment for just so many people. So I think that's what helped us kind of come together, because we were all kind of new. There was no like existing like kind of culture that was there that you were getting acclimated to. We were creating the new brotherhood, creating the new culture. So that is, I think, what really helped us get off on the right foot of being like, we don't know what the hell happened last year, but this is what we're doing now. And that was really great for us. And then obviously Jaden coming in and making all the plays he's made, and with a lot of older guys like myself coming around and supporting him has definitely been a method to win. So here we are.
Is this one of those things that really kind of worked out the best way that it should have for you? Because when we spoke to you headed into free agency, you told us, like, I don't see myself as an East Coast guy. You kind of didn't say it, but you were kind of like, the Raiders wouldn't be bad. Tom Telesco's going to be there. Like, I'm from Las Vegas, and it seemed like that may be a good landing spot for you. Now, like, look at how the season's played out. Again, you're in the playoffs. Tom isn't even in Las Vegas anymore. Tom Brady's there. They just got rid of their coach. Like, that seems like it's more of a rebuild situation. It seems like things worked out in the best way possible for you, even though that's not necessarily what it seemed like you wanted at the time.
Well said. But I think life has a funny way of teaching you lessons, and I think in general, not to get deep here, but as humans, we kind of tend to go towards the things that we find comfort and familiarity in, but it's not always the best thing for us. And at the time, I didn't really know what was the best thing. Both were directions, both were options. I was more comfortable with one was more unknown. And so I got put into a position where I went to the unknown route, and it ended up working out for me. That doesn't always happen. I would say actually most of the time that's probably not, it doesn't happen that way. That's why we tend to go to the things that we go to and find comfort in. And so this is one of the cases that for me as a person, I'm still not an East Coast person as far as want to live here long term, play football, grind it out during the season. Yes. But I don't know if you saw that I had to swipe like 4 inches of snow off my car the other day. And I was like, you know what? The West Coast don't sound so bad.
I'm wondering how long it took before you realized, like, oh man, I need some new clothes.
Yeah, it was 19 degrees this morning. And I'm like, you know what? The playoffs is about the only thing that makes me excited to be out here right now. As far as, like, hey, this is the reason this is worth it being out here. Other than this, take me back to the warm weather, and I'll come back out here in the summer.
Austin, just back to Jaden Daniels for a second. I remember talking to Dominique Foxworth. He was at a Ravens practice. I called him. He was nice enough to pick up the phone, and he was watching a very young Lamar Jackson. And I remember saying, "Is he any good?" And he said, "Do you know how difficult it is to be the best athlete on a field full of world-class athletes, to be able to stand out like that?" And so I'm wondering, is that kind of a similar feel you have for Jaden? How long did it take you before you realized, oh, this guy's different?
Well, you don't really know the caliber of different until you get a few games in, because you got to think when we're in training camp and OTAs, there's no full speed. So you don't know, did they sack him? Did they not? We don't know. We blew the whistle because the defense got him, touched him or something like that. And so you get into preseason, he gets some opportunities. He doesn't get many. He's playing in like the first quarter, the first few plays, and that's it. You're out because they're anticipating starting him for the first game. And so we kind of move through Marcus and him, or Marcus is starting for a lot of training camp and OTAs, kind of just taking that leadership role. And so then Jaden starts to, as we get closer to the first game, get into a position where he's starting to take some of the reps with the ones. And then we eventually get through preseason, get to the first game. And then the man is dynamic, running, sprinting for his life out there. I think it was just him being in his first game. He ran the ball like 19 times that game. It was just taking off. And
Yes.
that's when it kind of came alive of like, okay, this guy is extremely fast. Like he's running real fast and dodging and ducking and diving and all that. And then with him throwing the ball, I guess that's another thing where, okay, you're a runner, but now you run to throw. So that's one of the things that he's learned to do. Instead of run to run, now he's running to throw. Because, hey, you're the quarterback. Let it ride. Let these guys that are paid to run for you. Even though you can, now he's starting to kind of unlock some of these kind of tricks that he has. And so as he's been going through these games, we've seen that. We've seen him be a runner. We've seen him run to throw the ball. We've seen him run and get out of scramble, make plays down the field. And so now our offense is kind of taking the shape of, okay, let's get Jaden's legs activated. And then also, hey, he can sit in the pocket and throw it too. We've seen some amazing throws to Terry. So I think as time's gone on, it's been like, oh yeah, he's good. Oh, he's really good. Oh shoot, this guy's rookie of the year good. Like, oh, this is next level good. So it's been awesome, man. It's been so cool.
Billy mentioned the concussions, and there were some stories written. You had short-term memory loss, which is terrifying. I can't even imagine what's that like. But this is different for you now because you're married, so you have a lot of people to take into consideration. Did you have discussions with your wife? Because there were a lot of people saying, hey, Austin, you had a great career. Call it quits. I don't know how you feel about people having those opinions in that conversation, but we had a similar thing going on down here with Tua, and Tua said, yeah, of course. I spoke to my entire family about this. They're the important people in my life. So how do you feel, and how do you feel about the conversations revolving around your future, your career, and what you should do?
Yeah, I think it's actually good that people are talking about it, just because I think, brain health and concussions in particular are a good topic to make sure that people are educated on, especially when you're going through them. And so for me, this was my second concussion of the year. And this one, obviously, I said, had memory loss, knocked out. I remember running out in the field, and then all of a sudden I started like remembering things, and I saw Mel, my wife, sitting next to me back in our like locker room, and I'm like, what the heck? What just happened? And so that, definitely freaks my wife out. She thought I died on the field. Like, that's literally her word. She's like, you were laying there unconscious. I thought you were dead. And so obviously that's not great for her to go through, and her mental health, and her mental health affects my mental health, and my mom as well. Colin, she wasn't even at that game, so she was terrified. So there's a lot of emotion that goes into that. And then I went and just continued to kind of educate myself around concussions and learn from a few experts out there, and felt comfortable at a place where, hey, I didn't have any long-term sustained damage as far as being able to recover. There was no permanent damage. There's no bleeding on the brain, no fractures or anything like that on the spinal cord or stuff like that. So it was a concussion, and just because I was knocked out doesn't mean it was any worse than any of my other concussions. What you kind of determine it with is how many symptoms do you have? I had some blurred vision, stuff like that. So progress through that at a normal pace. And based off of that and all the information that I gathered was like, hey, if you're progressing, coming back at a normal rate, and there's nothing permanent, you're at a position where, hey, if the fact of you getting a worse one is probably still really close to the same type of odds as if you didn't have that concussion in the first place. So with that knowledge, I was like, okay, I'm not any more risk than anyone else is right now. I feel comfortable coming back to play. So that's what it went into all that.
So having spoken to all the experts and knowing that you've gone through this, talking to your family, all that stuff, like the fan out there, the people that don't play the game, that don't go through it, say, well, why doesn't Austin just put on a Guardian cap? That's supposed to help. Is that something that you have those discussions with, or is that something that's just like, it throws off the way that I play? Like, that's not something I consider. You just realize in talking to the experts, it's not really going to make that much of a difference one way or another.
Both. So yeah, I had the conversation, and the thing is, it's not like I felt like my equipment was unsafe. Like I'm out there and, I don't have the best equipment. My helmet's really good, rate's really high. Like my equipment is solid. And if it wasn't, then I would upgrade it. And then also on top of that, the Guardian hat definitely does affect your performance. Like I remember wearing that thing a couple years ago when they first came out with it, and I just felt top heavy. Like it's just like an extra pound or so and a half of weight on your head. And so just even me as a runner, right, keeping my balance and all this stuff is definitely thrown off just a little bit running with this thing on my head, being a little bit more top heavy, go down probably a little bit more easy. I remember I actually had a neck guard one time because I got speared in the face, but I couldn't put my neck all the way back. And just that, like, it was a couple inches that I lost of mobility. And anytime I would go down, I could feel myself like tripping running forward because I just couldn't pull my head back. And so the little things like that affect us as an athlete to be able to have balance, speed, know where our body likes to cut and the positions we like to be in. So I think they still have a ways to go with kind of just making that more efficient and of just a better tool. Can definitely see it, being something that continues to be progressed, because I get the intention, what they're trying to do. It's great, but I just don't think it's ready yet.
If you left it just up to Mel, it was her decision alone, would you have retired? Would she have retired you?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, she would have. I would not be playing football anymore if it were just strictly Mel's like, I want you to be done. That's where she's at. Cause when I tell you, she thought I died on the field.
Yeah. It's crazy.
She's like, I don't want ever to see you out there again. And it makes
all right. So you're married, you're recently married. She wants you to stop. And how do you convince her? No, hey Mel, I'm going to be okay.
It wasn't really me convincing. I had her come to all of my second opinion meetings with me.
Right.
So she was in the room, like listening to the doctor, hearing all of those things. So it's definitely eased her mind, but at the same time, she still doesn't want me to have to go through any of that again and doesn't want me to risk that. So that's where she's at. And that's why she's like, okay, yes, I get why you're going back. Still makes her nervous as hell.
Right. I figured, hey, just look at my quarterback. No, I gotta keep playing.
I don't think that's how that works.
Unfortunately, she does not care about
I don't think she cares.
You can watch football at all before me, so she doesn't care about the quarterback, what team it is, or anything like that.
Yeah, but you care, and you're 2 games away from the Super Bowl, my man.
I care. Yes, I care. I want my team, the team that I'm on, to be the best. So absolutely, I care, and my teammates as well.
When you look at the Lions, holy crap. Like, you can't think that going up against it, but holy crap, the Lions. Like,
no, Billy,
this is a
I think
tall
it's his
task.
second time. I think it's his second time going to Detroit. Mikey was telling me right before he came on. This is a vastly different organization the last time.
I looked it up. The last time you were in Detroit was with the Chargers in 2019, and I think they finished 3-15. So I think it's a little bit of a different team that you're going to be facing from the last time you were in Detroit.
Holy crap!
Watch
right,
that old
Billy.
film. That's the only film I watched. So, no, I'm just kidding. No, you got to put respect on their name. 100%. They have earned that respect, and rightfully so. Like, they have a lot of dynamic players. They're about culture. They're about brotherhood, and I know that's what we've been built on this year as well. So it's going to be awesome. Heavyweight battle, kind of 2 brotherhoods that are really intertwined with each other going at it Saturday night.
It is crazy. The whole listen. Your life, as much as it's changed, and it's changed a lot. Okay. But my life has also changed since the last time we spoke. And because we only have a couple of minutes to go here. Right?
So you're going to make it about you.
Well, no, I'm going to ask Austin.
I got to get the catch up too. Let me hear what's going on.
Well, did you see what happened with A.J. Brown during the Eagles game? Did you see what he was doing?
Oh, he's reading a book on the sideline. That was wild.
That was
wild.
So before we ask you the wildest thing you've seen a teammate do on the sideline, that was a Mikey A question right there. I have written a book, Austin. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
It is Stugotz's personal record book. Yes, I wrote it. It's doing very, very well. And I'm wondering if I get one of these to Madison or I get it to you, if I get it. Yeah.
You already know. He's leaving.
Actually, I don't know if it's gonna, my old clunker car. It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
But too late, might throw the whole thing
weighted
off.
down. It might be too much weight to have in my car.
Yeah. How much money do I have? Like, give me the charity donation I need to make. I'll buy you a new car. I mean, tell me what I need to do.
A new car.
Did you see what happened to the book A.J. Brown was reading?
I did.
It went from 5,000 on Amazon to #1. So I get it. Buy him the new car.
Yeah,
Hey.
I would.
Look, I think the NFL should open up. Hey, there's opportunity for guys on the sideline to hold a product or something. Hey, we're always looking for, instead of selling something to Netflix, we can do that and also do this on the side too. Make some extra cash.
All right, if I send it, will you at least take it under consideration? At least just get on the field with you, and just think about it. That's all. If the moment's right at the end,
If the moment's right.
you're winning. You're on to the NFC Championship game.
The clunker car comment's really hurting your chances here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's really a compliment because it speaks to even as much money. No, this is how I'm going to spin it.
I
because
can't
you're
wait.
a very responsible spender, okay? And Austin is always trying to teach people something. He's trying to teach someone something somewhere, okay? And what he's trying to do is, hey, look how much money I've made and I'm continuing to make, and yet I still keep my expenses low, right?
Right. That's right. Me and Warren Buffett, we have, we're driving the same car, live at the same spot, life is about, finding happiness, keeping maintaining that. So, you know what? I'm just going to keep my Clunker car, and I'll let you keep your book over there, and I hope it does well.
I don't want to put you on blast, but I
regret
noticed
saying it. Damn it.
I noticed you didn't even update the colors on your AE30 shirt there, which is a little bit disrespectful to your
Look,
current team. But hey, it's a good shirt. Why?
Your roots. Never forget your roots.
Right.
Like, look, I was on the Chargers for 7 years, right? I owe a lot of respect to that fan base, all that. Still love them out there. So never forget it. This is the foundation. We've done a lot of stuff out in LA, and let's keep it going.
Is there a small part of you, like just a tiny, small part of you that is happy you're still playing and they're not?
Yeah, just tell us. Just between us.
Absolutely, I'm happy we're still playing.
Yeah.
I'm a competitor. I hope everyone loses.
All right, man. We hope to see you in New Orleans. Not joining us on Radio Row, but playing in the actual Super Bowl.
Hope not to see you, honestly. If we see you, that things didn't go well.
Make sure to bring the book then. Bring the book.
Let's save the book for the Super Bowl. Austin, now we're talking.
There it is. Well, hey, guys, it feels like we haven't even skipped a beat. It feels like we've been talking every week still. We still got the same energy, same vibes, man. I'm glad to see you guys still going strong.
Yep, and we're going to do this through the Super Bowl, man. So I'm looking forward to it. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much. It was great catching up with you, man.
Yes,
I'm happy.
likewise.
It is time for this week's edition of Stugotz, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. NFL divisional round, best week of football we have all year. 4-2 a week ago, 83, 50, and 3 on the season. One for the ages. Here we go. 4 games. Chiefs minus 8.5. They're taking on the Texans. I got to be honest, right before I sat down to record this, I was taking the Chiefs. And then Fuentes got into my head, into my ears, and now I'm taking the Texans. How about that? Fuentes did such a good job convincing me that I am now taking Houston. Chiefs are minus 8.5. I'm taking Houston plus 8.5. Chiefs win the game. The Texans cover. If I lose, I blame it on Mike Fuentes. I mean, how about it's a win-win for me? Amazing. So I'm taking the Texans here. Chiefs win by 4 points at home. Commanders plus 9.5. They're at Detroit, taking on the Lions. Buy it up to 10. Detroit wins. Washington covers the Lions by 3 points over the Commanders. Rams plus 6 at Philadelphia. Rams going to win the game outright. I have been telling you, I would not be shocked if the Rams make it to the Super Bowl. I think they might make it to the Super Bowl. Rams going to beat the Eagles, win the game outright. They get the cover. The Rams by 4 points at Philadelphia. And finally, game of the year. Game of the year. 2 MVPs, must-win games for both of them. This is for the right not to hoist the Lombardi trophy. It feels like it should be. This is for the right to go play Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Oh, that's terrible. This game feels like it should be for more. I am taking Buffalo here. I am so tempted to take the Ravens. Fuentes tried to talk me into that one as well, but I'm not. I am taking Buffalo here plus 1.5. Buy it up to 2. Buffalo going to win the game by 7 points at home. Those are the picks, everyone. Good luck.